dispatch, getting the crews out, right? Just the process of making sure you have enough movers and then going and servicing every move that you have. Like, that's the core of your business. All this other stuff that we talk about, generating leads, booking moves, setting up processes, customer satisfaction, accounting, your branding, right? Scaling. Every customer that you have could care less about all of that. All they want to know is that you're going to do a great job for them on the day of the move. No matter what size your business is, we need to make sure that that process of delivering the service that you promise to your customers is on point. So we're going to talk about systematizing that. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Moving CEO Scaling series. We have been going strong. We're about halfway through with this scaling series. I'm at the office today. We're doing this for 14 days, and we are on day 7. Systematize your moving operations. And the reason this is so important is because what is it that our customers really want from us as a moving company, right? All this other stuff that we talk about, generating leads, booking moves, setting up processes, customer satisfaction, accounting, your branding, right? Scaling. Every customer that you have could care less about all of that. All they want to know is that you're going to do a great job for them on the day of the move. That's it. On the day of the move, they want to know that you're going to do a great job for them. So that's why we're talking about this today. Those of you that are maybe just joining us in this series, we've been going for the last 7 days. We're going to go for another 7 days. And it's all about scaling your business, taking what's working and bringing it to the next level. And we started off the series by stabilizing a few key areas, meaning, we're coming out of moving season. It could feel like the wheels are falling off the bus. It could feel a little crazy. Your team might be starting to break down on you. You might feel like super stressed out and overwhelmed. And that's why we need to start by first stabilizing. And then we got into systemization, right? Systematizing certain areas of your business. Yesterday we went into sales. Today we're going to be talking about operations. And that is important because you can't scale what's not systematized. Right? You can't grow what's not systematized. And coming into October, for me, every year, this was scaling season. It's like you've got moving season, right? And then you've got October through March is time to scale. And you do that by stabilizing, systematizing, and then scaling. And those of you that have been with me every single day, I'm repeating this on purpose because it's so important to understand the concept of let's not just go and grow. Let's just not go and scale until we're ready to do so. For me, dispatch, getting the crews out, right? Just the process of making sure you have enough movers in general, then have enough movers to get them to the office, then have enough movers, to quality movers, to get them out on the job every day, and then going and servicing every move that you have. Like, that's the core of your business, right? Yes, we need marketing so that we could get opportunities, so that we could have more sales and increase our business. Yes, we need systems and processes so things run smoother. But at the end of the day, no matter what size your business is, we need to make sure that that process of delivering the service that you promise to your customers is on point. So we're going to talk about systematizing that. And when I started in the business, this is, I wore all the hats, but dispatch especially, I recognized right away how important that was. To just have everything on point. To not let, days go by where it was chaotic and it was stressful. Like, there's already things are going to happen no matter what, right? Guys are going to not show up no matter what. Trucks might break down no matter what, right? Customer might not be at the house. Those things happen. We've got to systematize every other aspect of it. So it's just boom, 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 the same every day, right? And so I want to give you a few things today that I want you to go systematize in operations so that you could get that on point. Number one, it's going to help your business. It's going to help your customers. It's going to create more raving fans, right? Your goal on every move should be to create raving fans, right? Not just satisfied customers, but people that are going to go out and they're going to tell their friends about you. They're going to post not only a Yelp review, but a Google review and a Facebook review, and they're going to be willing to give you a video testimonial, right? We'll talk about some of that stuff tomorrow, but we need to have that intention every single day. So I want to give you some things that need to be systematized in order to get this going, all right? First one is scripted confirmation call. A scripted confirmation call, right? And bear with me, if you do confirmation calls, I want you to hear me out on what I mean by scripted confirmation call. So a confirmation call is something done by usually dispatch or a dispatch assistant or a customer service agent, depending on how large your company is, how many people you have, how you have it structured. But 1 to 2 days before the move, you've got to call the customer and do a scripted confirmation call. And the reason that we need to do this is, there's many reasons really, but it's number one, if you've ever had the experience of, you've got salespeople, right? You've got salespeople and maybe something, you get to the job and the customer says, I wasn't told about that. Or the salesperson said this, and now the reality of the situation is something totally different. A scripted confirmation call, meaning like you make sure you hit certain points in the confirmation call. Like it's almost like you got to check off confirmation. It's not, hey, we're just calling to let you know we'll be there tomorrow at 8 a.m. Good. Okay, great. See you tomorrow. Have a good day. Like that's not enough. You're missing a major opportunity to optimize the operation here. Because what you're going to do is you're going to call, you're going to first verify all the details that you have in your CRM, right? That's your central place where you keep all your information is your CRM, right? I know a lot of you are using my software, Smart Moving, and the salesperson is the first contact for that customer. They put the stuff in there, the notes, the inventory, the additional services, the address, all of that is in there, right? Whether it's their stairs, elevator, lawn carry, all of that is handled by the salesperson. But in order for you to perform a good move, the dispatcher, the coordinator, the ops manager, whatever you call the person that's coordinating all this, and if it's you, if you're the owner and you're wearing that hat currently, they need to be equipped with all the correct information. So now the confirmation call allows them to go back through and find out, first make sure the address is correct. Make sure that they understand the charges. Find out if there's going to be any packing. Right? A lot of times you have, they didn't need packing when they first set up the move, but now they're scrambling to get the packing done. There's an opportunity there to upsell packing as well. Find out if there's going to be any storage. They might have thought that they were going to bring everything to the new house and then realize that they need to, something's not going to fit. Right? Let them know you have storage as well. There's an opportunity there for upsells. So what you're doing is you're taking a job that could very well be booked terribly, right? It happens. You've got that one salesperson, they just started, they make a mistake. It's a learning mistake, right? You train them, you get them, you get them ready to go, right? They're not quite where you want them to be yet, but they make a mistake. This scripted confirmation call can save everything, right? I know I'm overemphasizing this, but if you're having any type of, customer service issues, any type of like the movers showed up and they don't know what's going on, this will fix that, right? What do your movers need to have with them when they show up? In order for your dispatcher to give your movers like a move detail sheet, in other words, here's what's unique about this move, right? Because we all want to feel like all moves are the same, but they're not, right? They need different material. They have different circumstances. Well, if we don't have that information on the job, as a company, what do? Do we just go, salesperson, it's your fault. Salesperson, it's your fault. Salesperson, it's your fault. So we're blue in the face? Or do we put an extra step in between the salesperson and us preparing to send the crews out there that allows us to take however they book the job, good, bad, notes, no notes, and make it right, right? Also, find out if there's opportunity for additional services. So that's your scripted confirmation call, all right? Make sure you do that, all right? Those of you that are in my programs, you've got my scripted confirmation call. Make sure you're using that. Don't put this off, guys. 1 to 2 days before the move, all right? And as simple as make a list of all the stuff that you're missing, all the stuff that if you think about any problems that happen on the day of, what questions can you ask the customer to confirm? You need to speak to them. Sending an email, sending a text message, leaving a voicemail, that's all great. But you need to let them know, I need to hear back from you in order to get our crew out there, all right? Because you need to make sure they hear this stuff from you. Otherwise, what happens? We all know what happens. You didn't tell me about that. I didn't know about that, right? It's better to have that conversation a couple days before than on moving day when you show up, when they're at their highest level of stress, right? Scripted confirmation call. Get your process down for that. Decide who's going to do it. Next one is truck inventory process. Truck inventory process. And what this is every single morning, we've got to make sure that we are keeping track of the inventory on the trucks. Your materials, packing, boxes, tape, shrink wrap, bubble wrap, whatever you've got for materials to use on the job, to sell on the job. Then you've got equipment, pads, dollies, straps, right? You know already. And if you don't, you know, if there's a reason why you keep buying more equipment, you keep buying more pads, you keep buying more dollies, but you don't have more trucks, it's because the stuff is either walking off the truck, it's being left at the customer's house, and no one's being held accountable for it, right? And this is a big problem because in order for your movers to do the job that you're promising to your customers, they need the proper equipment. And I've heard it too many times from companies that they get so kind of just sick and fed up of their guys losing stuff. And some people take the stance of like, you know what? Go ahead, go out there with 30 pads. I'm not getting you guys another dolly. Make do with the straps that you have. What? Like, you're going to punish the customer who needs that stuff in order for their belongings to be protected, in order for them to get the professional move that you promised them, to prove a point to your movers, right? When all you need to do is get your truck inventory process on point to where you're keeping track of anything that's going missing, right? Material goes on the truck, right? You got a pack job, material goes on the truck, okay? How much is going on the truck? How much did we sell? How much is left on the truck? You've got to get a process for this down. You know, we have to level up our level of responsibility for executing a great move, right? Again, what we can't blame. We can't say, "Oh, my salespeople, man, they never put notes in the system." Okay, well then, what do you need to do? A scripted confirmation call to make sure you know what's going on, right? My guys, they're always losing stuff. I'm just going to send them out there with 30 pads and they'll figure it out. It'll be fine. You know, you see what I'm saying? Like, the business gets hurt because of lack of processes. All this stuff could be resolved. I know it seems like such a huge, huge pain. And the only reason I figured all this out was the just, you know, tattooed on my brain was there's got to be a better way from day one when I started, right? We're losing. Why am I buying more? Why am I back at the moving equipment store buying more stuff, right? Why do we keep showing up on jobs and the customer's like, I wasn't told about this or I wasn't sure about that, right? It's not that, you know, we can't blame customers. We can't blame movers. Everything that happens, one of the number one rules of a moving CEO mindset is I am responsible for everything that happens in my company, right? Truck inventory process. Get that on point. Stop wasting money on materials. Stop wasting money on extra pads and dollies, right? Buy the extra pads and dollies as you scale, as you grow, as you get more trucks, all right? Next thing we need to do to systematize your moving operation is you need an on-the-move checklist. What is an on-the-move checklist? Well, if you think about everything that you want your movers to do, right? When people think about mover training and they think about the issues that are caused, what most people are thinking about is I need to teach them how to pad that chair. I need to teach them how to shrink wrap and pad that dresser. I need to teach them how to carry these particular items or use the hand truck. That's what most people are thinking about. But the reality is that stuff can be taught, and that stuff is known by many people that may come to you with moving experience. But what's going to separate your company is explaining to them what needs to be done from the minute they show up on the job to when they load the truck to when they unload the truck, right? What are the steps? And you break it out, like upon arrival, here's what I need you to do. I need you to go in, I need you to shake the customer's hand. I need the crew to have pads on their shoulders, shrink wrap under their arm, look like they're there, ready to work. They hired 3 guys, let them see 3 guys the minute they open the door. Or girls, right? 3 movers. Don't let one be in the truck smoking, getting the pads ready. There's perception is everything. First impression is everything. You know, we've all had the customers that are just on the guy's ass all day long, won't give them a break, following them around, on top of them about this, on top of them about that. When you set the tone with a good first impression right away, and the customer's like, oh, okay, all right, I'm in the hands of professionals. They back off and they go do what they need to do, right? If you ever have anybody working for you and you feel confident that they know what they're doing, you're not going to sit and hover over them. But if you're like, they're not perfect. They don't know what they're doing. They're not professionals. You're going to hover over them. It's the same thing with the customers. So think about that first impression. What do they do when they walk up to the door? How do they introduce themselves? What's the first thing that the crew should be doing as the driver's getting the paperwork signed, right? Should they be laying floor runners? Should they be covering the door jams? Like, well, what should they be doing? What happens when they leave the pickup to go to the drop-off? What certain things do they need to hit? Do they need to have a walkthrough with the customer to make sure that everything's gone? And I know some of this might sound like common sense, but the question I ask you is, are all your crews doing this stuff every single time? Right? We need a process for that. And the best way to do it is to give them an on-the-move checklist. When the move is done, what do they do? What's the process for getting the paperwork, collecting the money, getting reviews? If something happens on the job, if there's damage or the customer raises a concern, what do they do? Right? We need processes for this stuff. We need a checklist for this stuff. Don't send your guys out and just assume that they're going to just go and do it, because you want to be represented as a professional. And I know a lot of you started on the trucks and maybe you're still on the truck. And part of like the resistance to growing and building out a team is like, or maybe you've got a core group of guys that like you train, they're good, and you're scared to grow because you don't want to sacrifice the quality of service, which is understandable. That's great. It's honorable, right? You want to make sure that it's done right. So whatever it is that you do, whatever it is your best guys do, sit down, make a checklist, get with your management team and just say, you know what, we're making our on-the-move checklist today. Those of you in my programs, you know I give you what's called the perfect move, right? We'll be teaching this too at Moving CEO Virtual Summit, by the way, the perfect move and the entire process. But get with your management team and just say, okay, what do we need to do from the minute, break it up into a few sections. Upon arrival, right? So, and before we start the move, at load time, when we get to the other house, right? The delivery, and when we're finished. And just write the steps down, make them as a checklist, laminate the checklist, put it in the back of the truck, have a meeting with your movers, talk to them and let them know this is how it needs to be done every time. Be open to their feedback. If they're like, no, that sucks, we've got a better idea, be open to it, right? Because always be open to whatever your team has to say because they're on the front lines, and if they've got a better idea, then update it. It's not a matter of whose idea it was, it's a matter that everyone's following a process with consistency. I change stuff all the time because someone on my team has a suggestion, right? It's don't do it your way when this is the way. The way doesn't necessarily mean my way. Like, it's not like my way or the highway. It's like, okay, anybody else got any better ideas on how to, say all that, how to get this checklist in place? Going once, going twice, right? Like, once it's there, okay, now we're following this. Everybody needs to follow this. When you do your spot checks on your moves, if you guys aren't doing spot checks, start doing spot checks. That's an extra little bonus I threw in just now. It wasn't even part of this. But, start doing spot checks on the moves. And now like when you go there, you're not just like, okay, looks good, guys, right? You've got your checklist. Are they following the checklist? Did they hit all those points, right? So important. All right, next one. Mover hiring and training process. Mover hiring and training process. This is something that, again, we talk about, like the number one mindset rule of a moving CEO is I am responsible for the results that I get. The environment changes, the economy changes, the competition landscape changes, regulation changes, things change in business. Uber comes out, delivery food places come out, right? So there's like many different reasons that there's less drivers and movers available, and we've got a different generation coming up. I could care less to talk about all that and the reasons why. I don't want it. The reason why, okay, we could speculate, we could all talk about it, but the reality is, how do we improve the situation? How do we make sure we've got enough quality movers in place to service our moves, and that movers are never the reason why we're not able to scale because we can't get enough crews? You've got to dial in your mover hiring and training process. Not working? Dial it in more, right? How do we make it better? How do we make it better? What else could we do? What else could we do, right? I'm saying this stuff because I know what's coming. I know we're heading into off season. Hopefully everything with COVID has a nice long delay of moving season lasts longer for everybody. But whatever happens this year, it's kind of a freak of nature of what happened, right? Thank God people are still moving, right? Thank God that the moving companies can make it through a recession and can make it through a pandemic, right? But things are a little bit different this year. We've got to have our mover hiring and training dialed in. And all that means, okay, is starting with a pen and a piece of paper or a document and bullet points, and just listing the steps of how you're going to handle. We need movers. What's the first step, right? We get overwhelmed because we don't chunk down what we need to do. And then when it's time to hire movers, we're like, oh, we need movers. We need movers. If we had a place to go to that's like, here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? Just follow the steps. and you'll have movers, right? That's what you need. This way you can handle it. This way your dispatcher and operations manager can handle it. This way, as you scale and you open new locations, you can train them on how to deal with it. And it's not always this, we can't find guys. We can't find guys. And I see too many owners put the entire burden on their dispatcher or the entire burden on their operations manager, but not give them any assistance with sitting down and just, okay, what are the steps? Let's systematize this. That's what we're talking about here, right? We're talking about systematizing so that we can scale, right? So you got to sit down and lay out the steps. Same thing with your training. What are you going to do for training, right? This is a whole, another, hour long by itself, all of this. It is crucial that you treat your mover hiring process like your sales process, that you treat employment ads, okay, and leads, applications, the same way that you treat your marketing dollars and leads for moves. Just as important. You've got to build a sales machine, right, to bring it from a lead to a booked move. We talked about a lot of that yesterday, I think it was. And then you've got to have the movers going too, right? For years, maybe a lot of you that have been in the business a long time took this part for granted. Instead of giving up on this and, it's so hard, I used to bring people over on the H-2B visas and, now this is going on and that's going on. And I'm not one to sit around and commiserate about what coulda, shoulda, woulda been. All right, so what are we going to do about it? Like, we could have that conversation for a minute, right? If private clients, call me and they start going on about, I'll interrupt them and say, okay, I get it, but let's come up with a plan. What are we going to do? Right? Let's put that plan in place. So remember this, your mover hiring and training process is going to be just as important as your sales process, right? You know how many people are like, Lewis, I wish I could just sell moves, right? Because this part's so hard. Get this dialed in, and it's a game changer for your entire business, okay? I'm just letting you know. I've got clients and people in my programs that have turned this narrative around for themselves and their business and are now able to scale without concern of we don't have enough movers. Get this dialed in, get your process. Again, list the steps, right? Just list the steps of what you're going to do and then tweak it. How can we make it better? How can we make it better? That's what I've been doing since 2000, right? For 20 years, that's what I've been doing in this business is, okay, let's put something in. Like, don't wait for it to be perfect. Just put a process down, roll it out so there's consistency, right? The stress and the overwhelm and the team that's like not on the same page comes from lack of consistency. Lack of consistency comes from lack of defined process. You could always improve the process, just get it down in writing, okay? All right, so for those of you that do storage, okay? I know if you're not doing storage, I know a lot of you want to do storage. You've got to define your storage in and out process. Your storage in and out process, right? Somebody asked on one of these scaling series episodes that we did, like, when is a good time to start storage? And my response was, when you're ready to take responsibility for holding on to your customers' belongings. Like, when you're ready to take on and say, hey, your stuff is safe with me, and you mean it, and you really are protecting their items, then you're ready for storage, right? So with me, I understood this concept, early on. It was like, okay, at first I didn't have a warehouse, right? But my Yellow Page ad came out and it said moving and storage. So people are like, I need storage too. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't going to turn it away at the time, right? So I booked the storage, I kind of came up with my pricing and booked the storage and went and put it in a self-storage unit, right? Once I had enough self-storage units filled up to pay for a warehouse, I went and got a warehouse. I moved everything over. But from day one of those shipments going into public storage, wasn't necessarily public storage, the brand, but you get what I'm saying, self-storage unit. I was there checking in and checking out every single piece, every item, household belonging of that customer, every box, every rug, every, dresser, whatever it was. I was there checking off the inventory, meaning when storage jobs went out, we sent them out with the inventory sheet and a roll of stickers, right, with the lot numbers and 0 through, I eventually started buying the 500 rolls, even though I wasted half of them most of the time, but 0 through whatever they were, right? And so those of you that aren't familiar with it, when you go out, you have to take inventory of the stuff you're taking from the customer, right? This is for their protection, your protection, to know what's going on. So you put a sticker on a piece on this desk and you're like, desk, white desk, right? You would mark whatever damage is on it, any scratches, if it's worn, right? You would mark all that on there. Well, when the movers would get to the warehouse, I was there. When they get to the self-storage unit, before I even got the warehouse, I was there, regardless of what else I was doing. I might have had my phone like this, booking moves, talking to people, right? And if I needed them to stop unloading, I'd tell them to stop unloading. Meaning, nothing came off that truck and into that storage unit unless I got the number and checked it off. Oh, that one doesn't have a number? Leave it to the side for now. The sticker fell off? Leave it to the side for now. And I made sure that we accounted for every single piece of furniture that was coming in so that we knew as it was going out, it was going to be there. Why is this important? Well, let's say you've got a customer tells the guys, yeah, we're going to move to Europe for a year. We don't know, we'll be back around a year. And the movers decide to take a pit stop at their house and drop off a TV like, you know what, we'll just use this for the year and we'll make sure we get it back. We'll get it back in there before they come back, right? That's one scenario, right? A lot of other scenarios. We're not going to get into all of them, but for time purposes. The point is, you can never take a storage shipment on, and I know a lot of people do this, okay? But a lot of people ride around with no seatbelt too. A lot of people ride around on their motorcycle with no helmet too. Take a shipment in and tell your movers, just go unload it in the place and bring me the key. Or in your own warehouse. And they go in. Once I got my warehouse from day one, it was just me, okay, no other office staff. No movers were allowed in that warehouse without me, right? They had to wait for me. I had to forward the phones to my cell phone and go in there, right? If there was times where we had the truck backed up to the dock, they were loading vaults, and I had to talk to a customer and I couldn't check off the numbers and have the conversation, they'd have to wait, right? Your storage in and storage out process is a big, big deal. It might all seem cool at first. Yeah, we're getting storage, we're billing them and this and that, till the stuff starts going out and now you're getting claims, missing stuff, damaged stuff, right? And also your storage out process. How are you going to handle that? When are you going to collect payment? When are you going to do storage outs? Maybe you only have certain days that you do storage outs and you don't just, schedule storage out on a Friday or Saturday. Customer calls in, I want to move my stuff out. Okay, these are the days we have available. We got Monday, we got Tuesday, we got Thursday. How about Saturday now? Right? Why? Because you've got other moves those days. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you the process to go and establish so that you could have consistency, so that you don't have to be involved in every decision that gets made in the company, right? I've got a client, several clients, but these guys are, awesome, 2 guys, awesome, and they are, they've got their 3rd office now, and a lot of it is because, well, number one, their hard work and their persistence and their willingness to implement what needs to get implemented, and their mindset, like there's got to be a better way. But one of the things that's really helped them is that mover hiring and training process, right? And just implementing it, and not like, oh, okay, Louis, I understand it. I see how that could work. Let me go and do bits and pieces of it. But taking my process, implementing it to the T, and then probably making improvements on top of it, right? But they're like, we're not even worried about movers. Everybody else is so worried about hiring movers, and that's not an issue for them. Remember, in this modern day, 2020 and beyond, your sales process and your mover hiring and training process need to be just as important. Right? You need to sell, and then you need to serve. You need to sell the job, book the move, and then you need to service the job. All right? Make sense? So let me just recap real quick. All right, what did we start with? We started with a scripted confirmation call, okay? This is what you got to work on. Scripted confirmation call, truck inventory, all right? Make sure you have a process for not losing your equipment, not losing your materials, and then making sure you have them on the truck as well. Right? Always have extra materials on the truck. You never know when you're going to be able to sell or pack some additional items. Then you need your on-the-move checklist, your mover hiring and training process, the storage in and out process. And while you're at it, we're going to talk about accounting later on in this series, systematizing your accounting, but get your storage billing on point too. Right? That's another, like I can't, like I go in, when I work with private clients, I'm looking at their numbers, I'm looking at their financials. And it's surprising how many people will, not be really on top of their storage billing, right? I don't care how much you're billing, I care how much you're collecting, and so should you, all right? Hey, my friend, before you go, you've got to hurry and watch these next few videos over here. They will absolutely help you take your moving company to the next level. Go watch them now, and I'll see you over there.